What's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Grow Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Erica Valle, and today we're gonna start talking about self awareness and diving deeper into learning more about yourself and understanding who you are so that it's easier for you to truly figure out what it is you want to do with your life and what's going to light you up, and make you feel fulfilled and make you feel like you're living, you know, your dream life or the best kind of life you can live. Um, at the same time, I'm doing something new. I'm recording the podcast on what is it called? Zoom, because I want to start making more video content for my social media platforms in general. And so I figured, I talk a lot on my podcast and I have like some great tips I give all the time. And like, I love my podcast and I just need to make more use of the content from my podcast. And, just having it on audio doesn't really help when video is really big right now. So, yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there. I don't know why I'm like sharing that with you, but if you're like kind of in the same space as I am, like growing a social media platform and that kind of thing, I'm pretty sure that I guess is helpful for you. Helpful to know if you haven't realized, video is just doing really great right now. So if there's any way you can begin creating video content or repurpose different types of content for content, like do it because it's efficient and will save you a lot of time. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into this episode. So self-awareness is big. It is so huge. And part of what has helped me grow into the woman I am today and has helped me along my own journey. Not only with like self-love, but I guess career wise and kind of where I see my life unfolding in the next few years. Um, so what does that mean, I guess? Self-awareness. Self-awareness means like understanding your own limitations, what you're not good at, your weaknesses, as well as knowing your strengths and what you are great at, what you're naturally good at, and what you enjoy doing. It also includes the parts of yourself that hold you back, whether that be certain habits, um, if you're prone to anger or sadness more than most people. Um, there's different things that go into self awareness, and it basically just means knowing deeply who you are and knowing the most about yourself than anybody else. And that's how it should be, right? We should be able to know ourselves the best out of anybody outside of us. But I feel like sometimes that can be hard. Like before I started my own self development journey and all of that, I didn't really know who I was. And I feel like a lot of people, especially young people, struggle with that, struggle with knowing who they are um, alone. Like, as in like detached from the outside world in a way, or like how people perceive you and that kind of thing. I feel like a lot of times we can allow other people to define who we are for us, tell us who we are, when it shouldn't be that way. When you're trying to figure out who you really are, you have to turn inward and you have to ask yourself those questions and you have to explore yourself. And an easy way to start is, of course, always the number one thing I'm going to tell you is by learning to love yourself, learning to love yourself as you are in this moment. And from there, just paying more attention to the kind of thoughts you have going on in your head, becoming aware of, like I said, the things that tend to hold you back, some things like self doubt or what insecurities you have, um, what traumas you might have hidden under your subconscious mind, um, how you react to things. Um, Things like that. It's like an all-encompassing awareness of who you are, I guess. So how do you start becoming more aware of yourself? And I want to also like focus specifically on knowing your strengths, because I feel like sometimes that can be hard for us to define for ourselves, because I don't know, I guess it's just kind of like the society we're brought up in. It just kind of makes us feel like we're never good enough. And so then because of that, we don't know, or it's harder for us to know what we're good at, right? At least I struggled with that throughout like school. Like I was always a very good student. So I knew I was good at school and I always got good grades and that kind of thing. But it wasn't until I started my entrepreneurial journey that knowing my like actual skills and what I was good at was even more important, because that played a big role in the kind of business I was trying to make, right? Or create for myself. And I remember one time with my mentor, like, he was like, okay, what are you good at? What are your strengths? And I just got so caught off guard, and I was like, I don't know. Like, and that was something that was I guess like a wake up call to me, that like, wow, I guess I haven't spent enough time with introspection into what is it that I'm good at and how can I use those strengths or gifts to serve the world. At that point, all I knew was that I was really good at speaking, and I'm just a great speaker. I don't know why. It's just it's a gift that I believe was given to me by God, and um, that's why I love doing what I do. I love making podcasts and speaking and creating videos and going to schools and speaking in front of kids and that kind of thing. Um, so that's all I knew. And then I remembered, like, in school, I was like, you know what? I was also always really good at writing. Like, that's another thing I didn't think of. It was like, oh, I guess writing is a strength, because it's something that's just always come pretty easily and naturally to me. Like, it's not hard for me to do. Like, English was always my strongest subject. Um, and like that's what eventually led me into learning how to do copywriting, which is a business skill. Um, so with that, I realized, oh, I guess like whatever it is you're naturally good at is what you can consider a strength. So for you, if you're trying to figure this out for yourself, if you don't know what to say when someone asks you what are your strengths, um, think about, what am I naturally good at? What comes easily to me, that it doesn't take me much to think about doing, or it's not hard for me to do, and it's just something I'm really great at. That could be even something as simple as being very physically or athletically inclined. Like, you're really great at a certain sport, or hand-eye coordination, like stuff like that. Like, it could be something as simple as that. Um, and so for me, I realized my things were speaking and writing. Those are two of my biggest strengths. And although I did say, and it is very important to understand who you are, um, by going inside and internally and figuring that out for yourself and not basing it off of what people tell you you are. Um, I want you to make sure that the root of your self awareness comes from you, that it's about learning about yourself and going inward. But sometimes it is helpful to see also what the people around you notice about you or see in you, because sometimes people can see things in us that we don't even realize about ourselves. Um, and it's always really fun, I feel like, for me at least, to ask the people around me, like, what do you see in me? Or like, what kind of, I guess, characteristics stand out to you about myself, or something like that, because it's a way that we don't usually think about ourselves. We perceive ourselves in a certain way, and so it can be helpful to then turn around and ask the people close to us, around us, how they perceive us, because they're going to see things that we don't see in ourselves, most likely. um, so you can also use that. Don't base everything on what these people tell you, and you may or may not agree with what they say as well. But see what comes up when you ask them these questions and what they tell you, because it could surprise you, and you could also be like, oh, I never thought of that, but yeah, I can see that now that you've pointed it out. I see how I do express that kind of trait. So and I got this idea, and I also like, this is also why I made this podcast episode, because I wanted to encourage you to do this, because I did this myself a few months ago, and it was so cool, and really enjoyed asking like my mom and my siblings and my close friends around me these questions. So I encourage you to ask like a few people that are closest to you in your life these two questions that I got from this journal, actually, that my little sister gave me for my birthday this year. And she knows I love journaling, and so I usually just get the plain journals, right? Because I just write in them. But she gave me something different, and it's uh, a journal. It's called Create Your Own Journal, and since I'm doing this on video, I can just show you. Um, and it asks you different questions and it has different themes. So I thought that was super cool. So the prompt for this one that inspired kind of this episode, um, it was under the theme called Destination Journey, and it says, ask 3 people that know you. It can be friends, family, or co-workers, and ask them what they think you're good at or what they think your calling might be. Journal the questions you ask and their answers here in the journal. Obviously, you can do this on a piece of paper or in your own journal. So again, you want to ask the people closest to you these 2 questions, and it doesn't have to just be 3 people. You can ask as many people as you want. I asked, I don't even know how many people, just because I was so interested. So the first question is, you ask them, what do you think I'm good at? Okay. Second question is, what do you think my calling might be? And if they kind of don't understand what you mean by what do you mean by your calling, you can basically just say like why do you think God put me on this earth? like what is my purpose here type of thing, which that's also more of like an internal um job for you to figure out, but it's also cool to see what people might see in you based on um yeah, like how they perceive you or like what strengths they might see in you that you haven't noticed in yourself. um so ask the people around you those questions and see what it reveals to you about yourself and whether or not you agree with them. Um, so that's just like a cool exercise to try out. And I wanted to share like what came up for me that I thought was like super cool that I never like noticed about myself, and also see if there's similarities in people's answers, because I noticed that as well. Like my mom and my brother um, had similar answers to or either both or one of the questions. So, my mom told me about for what I'm good at. She said, "You're good at being persistent in what you want to do in life," which I was like, "Yeah, I definitely see that." Like, yes. um, and then she said exercise. Like, I love to work out, and we've gone to group workout classes before. So she said like I'm just really good at exercising, I guess, and it like I make it look easy, like the movements and all that. So I was like, huh, that's pretty cool. Like I know like I'm really good at form just because I pay close attention to it, but I never thought like, oh, I make it look easy for other people. My brother's girlfriend said that I'm good at sticking to what I believe in and not allowing other people to hinder me. And I was like, you know what? You're very right. I'm When it comes to what I believe, I'm very like strong in that, and I don't really allow myself to be pushed in either way unless like I'm open to, you know, being op- um I'm open to hearing different perspectives, I guess. I don't know. My little sister said I'm good at being loud and giving advice, and that's something I've also realized about myself. I'm very loud, so I that's why I was great at being a sports performance coach, because the people I would coach could hear me because I could make my voice like go really loud. But anyways, she told me that, and my brother said I'm good at talking, which yeah, I'm good at speaking, working hard, and being very disciplined in the things that I do, and always have a plan to approach it in some way. So that was something that stood out to me because I never like saw myself as that. I never thought about, oh, like I'm good at planning things. And so that's why I encourage you to do this, because someone can point something out to you that you haven't even realized about yourself that could be like a really good quality, and you'd be like, oh wow, that's cool. So that's just an example of that. And then the main theme around what my calling is helping people, that like my family told me, which I completely agree. Like I've always wanted to help people in my life. So yeah, I just thought that I would share, because you can get an idea of like what people could like tell you. um so definitely use that and see how it can go into like what you then, or like how you then see yourself, or that self-awareness portion about you. So going back to understanding who you are from your own perspective, though, you want to just be more reflective on your thoughts. What kind of thoughts are constantly going through your head? Are they positive? Are they negative? Why? What traumas did you experience as a child that subconsciously come up and somehow impact the way you act around other people or the way you show up in the world? Um, for example, something I learned through this embodiment program I'm in is that one of my big traumas from being or one of my childhood traumas was always being like bullied for my body because I was overweight. And because of that, I developed like a very poor body image. And although I'd grown out a lot of that, I noticed it would still come up in different ways where I didn't feel confident or comfortable in my body. And my like some of my self-worth was still tied into that body image. Like I didn't feel pretty enough, or I didn't feel good enough. Um, Specifically when it comes to like dating, like for a guy to like me, because I based it on the fact that my body wasn't pretty enough or good enough or small enough, skinny enough, fit enough, whatever it is, right? And so that was a big eye opener for me. And I was like, oh, wow, like there's still some work here to be done and some more healing to be done for this childhood trauma of mine so that I can let it go and not let that hold me back anymore, right? Because then it just takes from your confidence and from that self-worth, and then it's not serving you at that point, right? It's something that can hold you back. So that's an example of that, and that just takes like introspection and being aware of how you react to things, because the way we're going to go in depth here, the way I realized that was I was out one day with some friends, and I made eye contact with a guy I found attractive, but I didn't have the confidence to like either walk up to him and say hi, or um like make it like smile at him, or like give him a sign or notion that I thought he was attractive in that moment, because I was just too afraid to. And so I noticed that, and I was like, okay, where is that coming from? Like, that's really interesting. And it wasn't until I spoke to someone about it that we made the connection that it was like, oh, this comes from the body image issues. Like, I, I still like have some of that trauma that is being bottled up into in my subconscious mind that I need to like let go of. And that's why I don't feel as confident when it comes to like, I guess, showing someone that I find them attractive kind of thing when it comes to dating. So that is an example of becoming aware of your insecurities or childhood traumas, or how you react to things, or how you interact with certain people. Like it'll tell you a lot about what's going on inside that you might not have realized or noticed just like on a regular daily basis, because you're not paying it that much attention, right? So that's just an example of like how you can practice being more self-aware, paying attention to how you react to things, how you interact with certain people or things, and why. Asking yourself why, and going deep into where it might be stemming from, and also talking to someone that you trust if it can help you understand or bring that to light, type of thing. So um yeah, I can definitely make more episodes on this. I'm not gonna lie, I really just started recording this. I really winged it. I didn't really make any specific points that I wanted to talk about, but I still got the main thing across, which is I wanted you to ask these two questions to the people around you and see what it tells you about yourself, because it's pretty cool. But I will continue going more in depth with this type of thing because it's a big part of self development. Understanding who you are and being that self aware, because it all comes down to helping you become a better version of yourself. It's a big part of self growth. If you want to grow and become a better version of yourself, you have to be aware of the parts of yourself that need work, right? Whether that be childhood traumas or insecurities or habits that are not serving you, and things like that. Um, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Um, I feel like it was kind of short, and I hope you got something out of it. I don't know. I'm kind of like mad at myself because I'm just kind of like, I feel like I could have explained things a little better, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. Sometimes um, done is better than perfect. Actually, that's kind of like all the time. So I'm going to post it anyways for you because I feel like it's going to help out whoever it is listening to it. And as always, please don't be afraid to reach out to me on social media. I am on there pretty often, and I love getting to hear from you. I love getting feedback or getting questions so that I can help you like with anything that I might have talked about, or if you just want some advice or someone to talk to, like my DMs are open. I do not like I don't lie about that. So please do not be afraid to reach out. I'd love to get to hear from you. And you can find me on Instagram at Erica Valle 2. That's ERIKAVALLE 2. Also, if you could do me a solid and go follow me on TikTok, because I legit have 9 whole followers. Woo woo. And I am really working on expanding that audience and having it boom this year. Like that's my goal. So I can continue impacting as many lives as I possibly can. So if you don't follow me on TikTok yet, please go find me and follow me and share my videos and stuff. Help your girl get put out there. So on TikTok, my username is a little different. It's just Erica.Valle. So that's ERIKA.VALLE. That's where you will find me on TikTok. So yeah, thanks again for listening. I hope that this episode helped you in some way or gave you some like ideas of like what it can mean to be self-aware and how you can start becoming more self-aware too. Um, and I hope it inspires you to start the journey for yourself, because I promise you it will change your life for the better. So yeah, thanks. Again, I've said thank you like 5 times. All right. Thank you again. Have a great one. Bye.